Good morning, everyone. I have a Metatron read for you, a message of the day, a twin flame union read, and a twin flame general read that you see on the table. And so we're going to get right into it. It's a lot of information. We're going to roll the die as well. Let's go ahead and take a few deep breaths this morning. One more deep breath. Sending lots of love and blessings. Hope you guys are all having a great morning or day, wherever you are in the world. And thank you for being here with me, for spending your time with me. I so appreciate that. Oh, excuse me. There's something that kind of rubbed my tummy the wrong way this morning. So let's go ahead and roll the die, see what's coming up for the twin flames this morning. Today is the 17th of January, 2022. 17 is the star, and the day adds up to 24, which is the Queen of Wands, which is also Omega, 24. So for twin flames, 117, we have Taurus, which is in the North Node right now. A lot of follow through there. We have Venus here, which is also Taurus and Libra. And then we have the number 12, which is the Hangman. For me, that's more Capricorn, but it's also Pisces. And then the number 12 for December is also coming up as Capricorn or Sagittarius. So we have a lot of Taurus energy. Libra's coming up as well as Pisces and Capricorn, perhaps Sagittarius. But 12 is about completion, and Omega just came up as well. So there's a lot of completion energy there and a lot of follow through and love. So let's see how that plays out. That could be an ending too for Taurus and Libra. They're sitting right next to each other. A completion point. Okay, so let's see. The first one's going to be Metatron, which a lot of significant messages came through again. These are channeled messages and downloads that come through, especially in this read. They're all channeled readings, but I've been getting a lot of kind of special information in the Metatron reads lately. And this was done at 10:36, which is the Wheel of Fortune. The 36 is the Atlas energy of the 10 of Wands, the weight of the world on your shoulders. And the underlying energy for this Metatron read was the silver card, was the bottom of the deck. We also had communication and water there too. Water's been coming up as really significant. I was getting the message to set your water in the sun, not for the heat, but for the light to go through it, which will filter it. And then the first card out was authentic self, like who are you? It's the 46 of the 6 of Cups, the children in the garden loving each other. That past life soulmate type of energy, or perhaps fond memories of your childhood. And this is the way this message went. The colors were silver, indigo, and lilac, which is a very high vibrational energy. And I also am getting Archangel Michael's shield with that energy. And the purple moon and 0 point. The purple moon's coming up as 0 point, right? When the white moon hits the dark sky, the dark meets the light becomes the purple moon, which is that 0 point. Also, Michael being called in to protect the vulnerable. So maybe if you need help, because if any dark energy sneaks in, to make sure to keep your vibration high and a lot of nature around you. But again, you know, we're human and sometimes our vibration might drop because of a certain situation. And remember, if you feel vulnerable or you feel like somebody else might be vulnerable, you might want to call in Archangel Michael with their blue indigo shield. Indigo platinum I usually get, but some people might call it indigo silver, which is coming up here. We have the message in the bottle, the freedom to speak and be heard. The dolphin or Saint Dolphin, which is Sandalphon, is coming up. This is the way Sandalphon's presenting themselves to me as Saint Dolphin, of that dolphin energy, the dolphin people perhaps. With crystalline or crystalline water. Remember, the line is the shortest distance between 2 points. And the water for emotional well-being. The chariot of infiltration. All right, so again, water's coming up with the sun as a filtration measure. Put your water in the sun, not in the heat, which normally you'd think that to boil your water, but when you boil things, you also kill a lot of things that are natural in the body, because the body carries bacteria all of the time naturally. So you don't necessarily want to kill everything by boiling it, but you don't have to sit a bottle in the sun to get the rays of light through the bottle. And that's what they were showing me. So try that out, putting your water bottles in the sun if you'd like. The infiltration of this, the filtering of the light and the sun. And again, the crystal of the icosahedron today was coming up, as opposed to the, this is the 20-faced crystal as opposed to the 12-faced crystal. And remember, the sides when talking about crystals are the lines from point to point. Those are called the sides, but the faces are actually called the faces. So icosahedron's coming up here with 20 faces and 12 points, 30 sides, or lines. The shortest distance between 2 points, but now we're talking about quantum leaping as well, right? So we don't need necessarily that string between the 2 cups of the phone, because we can quantum leap from that hole to the hole by creating a vortex or a tunneling effect. And I was getting the energy of, like, you know, the chutes that you send labs in the hospital now, instead of having to walking them down to the next floor, they have chutes, they're vacuum chutes. It's the same type of energy, the quantum push and pull of a vacuum. And then icosahedron was coming up regarding the kosa, which is not a casa or a home, but a kosa, which is a thing or a nothing. So again, the everything and nothing. It also comes up as an affair, to choose, a thigh. Also, a lot about sewing was coming up here in this reading. To sew, but also in other definitions, to baste and tack were coming up, and then the needle. So that'll come up as I'm going. So pay attention to that and what downloads you might get from that, which is interesting for me. I mean, I have a fashion certification, so I definitely can think in those terms. But remember, when you sew, it's the same thing as everything and nothing, because you're going in and out, up and down every time you sew in an equal manner, right? So the 20 is the regular hedrons are the one with equal sides, right? Because there can be unequal of these shapes as well. So icosahedron is I, thing or nothing, to sew in and out, up and down, through and through alternating currents. I kose, or speak as two, with source backing me up. Water, 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 and chariot. The chariot is chariot, but something else came through this morning as well. This was coming up as the dance riot, or to dance and face in overtime. The cha can be tea, and did you ever notice that eat and tea are the same word, really? And elderberry was something that came to me, which I got yesterday. So you can make elderberry tea, or I was actually getting tea as something to calm my eyes, because I have dry eyes. But this is the information I was getting. But you can check it out if you'd like to. It's a diuretic, I believe, too. But it's got I got it as a download, and then I looked it up, and it was all the things that I was getting guided to it for. So the cha is tea, but it also means to come. The number 4, number 6, not crying, weeping, to eat, to dawn, to rise, but also to fear and be afraid. A father, dude, I, me, you, my father, beaver, sharp, know who and whom. So also coming up with the chariot is to come and to cry, to rise, dawn, and to fear. The 4 and 6 and the 6 and 4, I, me, you, and father, dude, and beaver. To eat and drink tea, perhaps. And there's that reflection of the eat and tea, to eat, but also to drink tea. Sharp and soft and weeping, to laugh and then all of a sudden pain, to acquire but then drown, home and then a period of harsh weather, to ride and then dwell, which is being still, young and new, and then the woman who may be in a thorny mood, and then to face or to sink or swim kind of energy there, the father and the mother, or basting in overtime. And remember, basting is kind of over and over. You're basting something out of time and space at 11:25, which is Justice and the Knight of Wands, which is that very inspired energy to get moving. So something else that came up around the word chariot today, instead of cha and riot, which was being explained just then, and the definitions were coming up as ri, R-I, and then O-T, which can be overtime, and then the meanings for cha, which isn't just the cha-cha or dancing, but all those other things I just told you about. But also one of the definitions of R-I is face, and we're talking about the crystal with multiple faces on it. The chariot also can be broken down into char and ayat. And char, of course, to char meat is to burn it slightly. It's like getting a suntan. But did you realize ayat also means iodine? And iodine can be broken up into eo and dine, which is eo is I, and then di is two, and then ne is any, or I, two of any. And there you go, your polarities again. But also ayat means yacht, and we're talking about the word chariot. So it's literally the yacht that's been charred or slightly burned. And that could be sometimes to bring color, to bring the juices up in something that you're cooking. But it's like, you know, the yacht is the epitome of shipping, right? And so that's coming up as a yacht that's been slightly burned is the chariot. Or slightly heated up, or slightly darkened, right? A little bit of shadow on it. Very interesting the way that was coming up. So again, a reminder about Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Lucy is coming up as L-U-C-I, the right angle, at the right angle of the L, you see the point, which is the Y in the road is the 0 point, the top of the pyramid, where all roads lead home. So, and remember that with diamonds, that's 2 almonds. And I know it's diamonds is A-M-O-N-D-S, but one of the definitions for A-M-O-N-D-S is almonds. So it's 2 almonds, which have to do with the flower of life and the Jesus fish and the almond eyes. Okay, all very significant energies there. And the C is also very significant as the whispering bench and the technology or the geometry regarding the whispering bench and how that all works. There's something significant about that in the toroidal field. And the vacuum energy. The right angle, and U, of course, is the Holy Grail. The C is the whispering bench, and the Y is the Y in the road 0 point. So all very significant things in ascension, in geometry. And so out of the bottle, right? You are the message in the bottle, allowing your spirit out of the bottle, taking the plug out, now in the sun, also putting your water in the sun. And then, you know, Groundhog's Day is coming up, which is significant this year because it's 2/2/2022. So there may be some significance around that, as well as February 20th, 22. And I don't know, the new moon is February 1st or February 2nd, but it should be around there somewhere, as well as around March 1st as well. So out of the bottle of Justice, which is truth and balance, and then the Page of Wands, which is that inspiration, perhaps someone who's excited or wanting to go out on a date. The message out of the bottle, maybe the message got out here, And so you or me and the message of water and Saint Dolphin and the 20 faces of Eve or even, right, keeping things even or balanced, and the light fracturing through the water, the fractal of life, or in other words, having a broken part, right, because we're not perfect. And then diving deep when the dark meets the light in the purple moon, and the needle, which is the sword, in the haystack or the ocean of drops, the same thing as the needle in the haystack, is found. So the sword is the needle sewing the fabric of our lives, and basting and tacking first to make sure it's set well before we sew it permanently. So then the word baste came up, and one of the definitions for baste is the Ace of Wands or clubs. Remember, basting is to drip, on something, to baste it with juices, but also it means to beat the meat, to make it more tender, or loosely saw, all in preparation of the main event, the meal, the garment, the permanence, making it more juicy, tender, or aligned, the correct size and proportions, or summarizing before the main presentation, adding flavor, color, and teasing the senses of sight, color, hue, and sparkle and brightness, the sound being soft or hard or loving or dark, and the smell and taste, is it good or bad, is it sweet or sour or bitter or neutral, and then the taste to baste with tea, and then feel, how does it feel stressful, relaxing, exciting, dull, informative, overwhelming, irritating, or all-consuming, and you just can't stop. The foundation set before the build, the most important part for longevity, still able to incorporate changes along the way. So it's creating that really stable base, but allowing at the same time flexibility of change within. The weaving of the DNA, the D of the line of the one, and the backwards C, but the oval C, like the whispering bench, which is the D of the direct current, the line with the magnetism of sound and space of that whispering bench. The one and then backwards C is the direct current, and then the NA, remember I told you last video, the N is the two direction of explosion and implosion, up and down, and then the line between and the N is the merging together of those energies all at the same time. And the A is both the TP grounded into the earth, but also the rocket ready to take off for the stars at the same time. So here you have the direct current of the D plus two alternating currents, NA, and then equating to source energy of the direct current. And the two alternating currents are the quantum twin flame energy, the push and pull within two units, a repeat unit of two poles, which is the biopolymer of DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. And acid is alternating currents ID, which I was just explaining to you. The needle is the director, and the double thread follows their line of flow and resonance here. So again, DNA is the same thing as the needle with the double thread. The leader leading the two, the twin, the push and pull, the double thread follows their line of thinking or flow, right? God thinks, and then we respond as needed, right? Because we are, it's like we're the arms of, and legs and fingers and cells of God or love or creator or source. So they're the director, the needle, and we're the double thread that follows their line of flow or resonance, or Sir Hollowness, right? Just like the instrument, the resonance. Mr. Ed, the legend of Sleepy Hollow, and the Headless Horseman. Mr. Ed says, through his body, right, with the horseman sitting on him, his thoughts were getting on my nerves, literally, and I took his head off in a moment of lapse in vibration to bring clarity of what I still need to clear, but not work on, to play on. No Klingons either, but ether or ether is good. To sharpen their bright light or slaughter with bright light, Kill them with kindness, in other words, until you break the horse in, or they come to you at 12:01, which is, again, that 12 energy that came up in the dice, the 12 of the Hanging Man and the 1 of the Magician embodiment, going into the 2 on the next page, which is the High Priestess. Kill them with kindness, like we talked about this before, about how to break in a horse, not to fight their fire with fire, but to keep showing up every day with love and an apple in hand, in order for them to finally trust you and come to you. And the same energy is coming up here, to kill them with kindness until you break the horse in and they come to your side, instead of staying on the fire side. And then he was saying LOL, and LOL is 2 aligned with space between. The removal of the sword, the soften and the meld, or becoming malleable, remoldable within a stable environment, a very stable foundation. The first card out here is authentic self, about who are you? RUL, again, the RUL, which is, again, at the right angle. Are you at the right angle? Are you seeing the right perspective? And remember, angle is GLE of glee, but this also means to behold. Are you at the right angle, angel? To behold and to be held is to be human, connected to higher self at 12:06, which is the Hanging Man and the Lovers. Mother Earth is grounding with ice cube and number 18. And if the tube literally is the portal to be, then I see, or inner child, or informed consent, is to see you be, before tubing your lab results. Who are you, little divine feminine and divine masculine of the purple moon, the 0-point field of view, or FOV, expanding and contraction of human creation, FOV, and the cube, which literally the cube looks like 2 roofs put together. The roof, and notice there's going to be a lot of double O's coming up here, the roof of ROOFS, the double O, and then Ru, which means peace and quietness, rest and stillness, but it also means excrement and shit, but also serenity, and the roe deer and leaf, all expanding and contracting 2 at a time. Make sure to ground well in the winter when it's cold and you don't touch ground very much or out in the sun very much. As Archangel Sandalphon, or Saint Dalphon, says, they're with you on this fool's journey in the 0 point of the Om. Om. And then the silence, or Ah, Oh, Ma, silence. The 0 point of the purple moon of Mary and Jesus, or 2 humans of source, with mountains to climb and Mary's valleys to source. The King of Cups detached from drama and look up. There's this energy of that human connectedness in the pillars. To sit, it's talking to the masculine in both of you right here, as the King of Cups, right? Who's supposed to be that unconditionally loving energy, but when they're looking down, it's because they're having conditions on love, and they're asking the King of Cups to look up. But sit in the grass at sunrise or sunset if you can, and notice that it's not rise and fall, but rise and set. Once you raise your vibration, you do review slightly, but you never fall or go back. Inner child, what's weighing on you? Saint Dolphin asks. The indigo child is whole and complete, a child of the dragon, fire and sun, the divine masculine pyramid, which is the pi, the ram, and the ID. The balanced ram, not row, dear one, but ram, the R-am. Not 2 humans where one is broken, but inspired by the rainbow bridge, the pure white, because white is the rainbow, it's all of the colors, and all the colors within always open. Self-satisfaction with family at sunset, the beacon pillar or sunlight shine, or the light shine, on the 44 of grounding, integrating, and mastering, of receiving of love, and new waves smashing upon you, trying to get to your light or get your attention. Never be afraid of what can be taken away from you. Keep your heart open day and night to light up the dragon and warm the earth. Signs and synchronicities at 12:35, the hanging man and the wounded warrior, the wise one and the wounded one, and messages from the birds with love at 12:36, the atlas and the weight of the world upon your shoulders. Remember that your signs and synchronicities and the animals and the trees, they're all there to send messages of love to you. Evergreen, with aqua gold and the rose blossoming within the heart, and letting go of control from fall to winter. And remember, winter is two, right? The W is two U's, inter. The Knight of Swords, codependency, being the key to the freedom, or the right angle that you see, the point, seeing a new perspective. All perspectives, big bird, Queen of Swords, with rainbow triangle, and notice that triangle is to try any angle, a new perspective, and golden wings, and the wing again is the two U's in God. The High Priestess, Divine Feminine, take time out in the purple moon, and the organic magic kingdom, queendom, for a message of higher realms and magic. And the Queen of Cups is light body, going within to clear the shadow for clarity. The underlying energy at 12:41 of the hanging man and the self-love, spiritual love and new love, is the see and see with your eyes, see with your heart and your emotions, see with the sea of the whispering bench and the Christ unity consciousness of water, 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 and message, message, message. And the difference between message and massage is me and ma. The first column here is your authenticity of the inner child, which is also the one and the whispering bench. The alignment of the whispering bench. Because too, if you look at the explanation of the whispering bench, when you talk, it's like you hear it right behind you. It's not like on the bench. And the line here is kind of representing that field of where the voice channels back and forth behind the bench. The I see of the inner child, of the informed consent at 0 point field. The whole indigo, or indigo being in digging into human source, seeing the star that you are, and within the family. The second column is the farm and the plains, the fields of grass. The dragon and the rock, which is the dragging and the rock. Drag on and rock. All through the 4 seasons, the winter, spring, summer, and fall, to preserve and then plant yourself in the ground or grass, feel and express your power in the summer, and then when the student's ready, the teacher will come in the fall. And the toroidal field was coming up here as well. Remember, the toroidal field is the apple. It's like the 2 circles with the core in the middle, but when you look at it from the top, it's the inner tube, or the circle with the core in the middle. But also, if you look at it from the side with the 2 circles and the core in the middle, it's 2 circles with the toroidal field of energy being 2 triangles, or the hourglass in between, which is 2 hourglasses coming together, just like a vein would go into a valve. It gets bulbous at one end. So this is the triangle, which is also half of the diamond energy, the connection of masculine to feminine. So here with the 3rd column was very significant because Archangel Sandalphon was coming up with the Lyran instrument, right? The lyre, the lute instrument is in the picture with Archangel Sandalphon. And the Lyran lineage was coming up here. The instrument is you. You're the human instrument avatar with the resonance or spirit sound within. Or a vertically suspended hoop used in acrobatic performance. Or the lyra is also the middle portion of the ventral or belly surface of the fornix, which is the arch or vault of the brain, of the triangular area, or trying new perspectives area of white matter, which is also rainbow matter in the mammal brain, beneath the corpus callosum, which was coming up as the corpses underneath the callosum, and between the hippocampus and the hypothalamus, which was, did you know that hippo means horse? And in hippopotamus, the potamus means river, the flowing emotions of the horse, Mr. Ed, who happens to be also African and vegetarian, Mr. Ed. The thalamus is the inner chamber, the bedroom, the queen's chamber that's 11 cubits long of alignment, the two structures of gray matter, the twins, that relay sensory impulses, or in other words, epiphanies, to the cerebral cortex, or the waxy brawl in court with X, and the request of that. The receptacle of the flower is the torus, the marriage. The torus, round swelling or elevation or protuberance. The torus is the 3D Euclidean space or solid formed by rotating a closed curve, which is the C becoming the circle. Or the product of two circles, which is like the apple, right? The two circles, and then the top being a 0 with a point in the middle, just like the 0 point, where the flowers grow from. So, in zoology, torus also means the swelling or bulging or muscular fleshy part, the brawn of an animal or tree, the knot on the garland or the ornament, the marriage bed, the embankment, the elevation of earth, the large round molding at the base of a column is also the torus. So what came up with the torus for me, because I've drawn two toruses coming together, which creates kind of like looks like an egg opening, and I'll have to dig up that picture at some point again. I said that already. But when you add the third torus, now remember, if you have a cube is, either one big circle that fits within the square of the cube, or it's 4 circles or 2 eights that fit in the square. But if it's a cube, it's 2 sets of eights, right? Which are actually 4 circles, not eights. But I'm just saying they look like 2 eights next to each other, like the twins dancing side by side. So you either have 4 eights in the cube or 8 circles, 4 and 4. And each 2 circles are a toroidal field. But in a diamond, it's not like a cube, because the diamond gets smaller at the point. So if you turn the cube into the shape of a diamond, if it's like 2 roofs coming together, yes, it's the same amount. But if it's actually a diamond where it gets smaller at the tip, then there's actually just the 2 and 2, and then 1 in the front and the back, which is not 8 circles, but 6, which references that flower of life. So you have the 4 like a square, with then 1 circle in the middle, right? That 0 point field. But you also notice when you have 4 circles together, it creates the Celtic cross in the empty spaces between. And then often with Celtic crosses, there'll be a circle around the middle, which is referencing what I just told you. The circle in the front of the 4 circles, and then the circle in the back that you don't see because you're looking at a 2D image. The Celtic cross and the toroidal field, the crazy eights, all of them, the flower of life, are all, the triangles and circles are all enveloped within this field or visual energy here. At 114 here, which is the magician and the 14 of patience and balance and that higher love of the angelic realms and taking one step at a time off that beaten path, the Cartesian energy or product was coming up of the 2 circles in a 4D space. And again, we're still talking about the torus, right? Drawing 2 circles doesn't explain to us what something is in a 4D space, because 4D means there may be something on the other side we don't see. With 2D and 3D, we see everything. But 4D, there may be something that's unseen on the other side of the structure. So Lyra, the middle of the belly at the arch of the triangle, which has to do with seeing new perspectives, of the white or rainbow matter in a mammal, which is you, and beneath the corpses of the Colosseum, right, the Roman Colosseum, the roaming Colosseum. It's like the traveling caravan, the traveling circus, and the corpses beneath the Colosseum, or the corporation of the U.S., which the U.S. is now not just a country, it's considered a corporation. I forget if it was incorporated in 16, 17, or 18, this millennium. So referencing the corpses beneath the Colosseum, or the traveling show, with the corporation of the U.S. collective, and because we, remember, we went from the Roman Empire and out into England, and then we came from England. It's like the traveling roadshow of the Americans now, that right where the collective mutts of all of those energies coming together. And between Mr. Ed and the flowing of or flowing of emotions, being emotional, and Mr. Ed coming up as being African and vegetarian here, and the queens of the 11-cubit chamber in Egypt with a slow blood pressure, or in other words, being very sensual within the queen's chambers, with twins that relay epiphanies to request a brawl with the ex in court, or relaxed or sensual Taurus or marriage, or 3D with all senses, Euclidean, of space, the product of two circles of humans with two trying angles or perspectives, trying to get between them in a 4D space where you don't always see what's on the other side. How do you like that? That was pretty cool. So Cartesian just has to do with the French René Descartes, was considered by some the founder of modern philosophy and algebraic geometry. He was 331, 1596 to 211, 1650. And so at 133, we have the Archangel Sandalphon, the musical Sandalphon, and the Atlas Inner Child, or with informed consent, or aligned on the whispering bench, on the rainbow adventure with Metatron, the rainbow, the white, inspiring to emotional fulfillment with signs and messages of love. So there was your Metatron read. I love that one today. You might want to listen to that again because there's a lot of translations there. So then the message of the day, and how cool was this? The movies that came up last night for me were Photocopier and then Phantom Thread, which refers to sewing again. And by the way, in the movie, I think it was Photocopier, literally Colosseum rental came up. As I was just talking about the Colosseum. How cool is that? It's like taking the show on the road, renting out the Colosseum. So the message of the day here, and I'll show you that picture. Okay, so the message of the day, I used the Animal Spirit deck, the Lenormand Reverie, the Gilded deck, and then the KIPPER deck. And this one I did last night. It was the underlying energy of the Scorpion, the Anchor, the Four of Cups, and then the toil and labor, perhaps, of the Queen of Cups. The Scorpion with their stinger out, and the wounded warrior pulling anchor, tempted by the Holy Grail and the Queen of Cups, perhaps going back to work. The beaver may be hardworking, perhaps gets jumped or gets a jump. The challenge to get over the mountain, sailing right through with wise counsel. The Page of Cups with hoops to jump through, and the multiple faces of vulnerability, and the wounded warrior who may be ungrounded here. The Knight of Swords dumping a load in the 5D connection with the wounded warrior tempted by the Holy Grail, on the high vibe journey to align with sudden wealth, and the King of Wands at court, or with official paperwork to file, and the man with sudden thoughts of a woman, and the Queen of Cups hard at work. The first section here is the songbird and the bat, purifying and lost in space. And again, we were just talking about purifying water in the sun, and then lost in space, where the masculine was sitting in the grass but not looking up. Purifying and lost in space, the nightingale with the stage mother, perhaps out of options, with a message of concern, patience, and a higher love. The songbird could be with a pushy mother, or seeing someone as bat crazy with a group with a negative past or privilege. The bat with a wise group of birds and a falling out with the wise privileged lady, or perhaps missing their mother, or just sad memories of someone who is gone. And the second section is the turtle, the tiger, and the tarantula. The turtle may be slow and the tiger fierce, which is so funny, because in the movie, was it called Brazen? I'm trying to remember. It was about a Polish mafia type energy movie, but someone who wasn't like a gangster. Oh, Gangster, that's what it was called. Not Brazen. Why I Married a Gangster, something like that is the title of the movie. But in the movie, he talks about himself as never wanting to be a turtle and living a long life. He'd much rather be the tiger, which may live a very short life. So that was coming up here as the turtle being slow and the tiger fierce, and the tarantula at the Y in the road with a choice to make. The turtle child in transition found a way out for the lady with expectations, or made it home safely from 28, which may be the Y in the road, or the twin flames and choice of path. The slow turtle and 20 years, or the fierce tiger and 2. And it's How I Fell in Love with a Gangster. Or impeccable designer, both impossible to please. The tiger fox leaving the hen house with patience in energetic exchange with the main male, and the tarantula at the Y in the road, or 0 point. And Atlas with burdens, the king of swords, very particular, official man of the fool's journey. And the child escaping energetic energy with him, the lady expecting ladies who lunch, and the main male, the official person. And that was very much the energy, too, about Phantom Thread, which was about a designer. And again, all that stuff about sewing and thread came up the day before all this stuff came up. So it's so interesting how the energies that come up in the read will then preface the movie that I end up seeing that next night. So everything is is manifesting so quickly. The third section here is the dear one, the spider in the web, or caught in a sticky situation. The dear one at home, at stable home, free to leap, and the Knight of Wands with high honor, perhaps. The dark web of the family, perhaps uncomfortable, in a message of infiltration. The fool may be free, perhaps they're uncomfortable with their freedom, though, at 1032, which is the Wheel of Fortune and the journey, right? And Elena Donan always talks about that not from Thor Hahn, but from Val Thor. She said, he always said, it's impossible to release someone from their chains who don't want to let go of their chains. And it's that same type of energy that's coming up here. You may be free, but if someone's so used to being in captivity, once they're free, it's a very uncomfortable feeling. They may not know what to do with themselves, and it may lead to confusion. So that's where the healing comes in, that you need to heal yourself in order to set yourself free, because of course freedom comes from within, not from without. So then we have the section of the phoenix, the cosmic egg, and the golden egg. Rising from the ashes, the collective awakening on the same level, though, instead of the top down and seeing the collective from the top, we're seeing the collective from the side here, which is on the same playing field, not being one above each other, but teaching and learning from each other. The rising from the ashes and the collective awakening on the same level to the golden egg, or nesting that golden egg, protecting, or protesting, I guess if that's coming up right here, protecting the nest egg. And someone might be protesting it because they're uncomfortable with their freedom. The phoenix inspired by a letter or text or document. She like the wind, or Guinevere, strong, or Leo, or marriage of abundance, or leaving it. With the crown and the cosmic egg and the Knight of Cups taking a chance, perhaps in a divorce or alternative belief systems, or making changes with wealthy man in transition. The nest egg being the key to freedom for sovereign and the wealthy man with status. And this can be talking about a couple in divorce as well, who may be great, right? Maybe they have a lot of money and they're fine even in a split. But why are they still worrying? Because this is the false energy they've been living in, is that fear of not having enough, and yet now they've done all the proper things to save for their retirement, and yet they won't let themselves be free because they think there's still issues or things to worry about. So it's letting go of that trap, letting go of your chains, allowing yourself to be free and happy and authentic to who you are without expectations of the outside world. The fifth section is the fish, the unicorn, and the frog. The fish out of water and the unicorn watching over, and the frog is in the rain. Love rain on me. The fish with connections and direction, but coming clean or cleaning up their act or space, or perhaps with a mature man. The unicorn is exposing the powers and towers, and the Knight of Wands reverse players, or occupied in energetic exchange, or a lot of back and forth communication or travel, or a job with a lot of back and forth, or the arrows of love. And the frog is sad in spiritual union, mature in ending conflict, or in a losing battle with death, or perhaps it seems so. And definitely the wounding of fear of death was coming up, and for someone I was dealing with yesterday as well, if I fall as people who have sleep issues, if I fall asleep, my children will die. All right, so this is coming up as a wound, a war wound from when we're worried that if we fall asleep, our children will get killed or be kidnapped or whatever. And that often happens in wartime, right? You're never safe, so you don't feel comfortable ever sleeping. So if you're having sleeping issues, that may be a wound that needs to clear, whether it's a fear of your own death or fear of other people around you's death. And that was a wound that came up with my dad as well, because he grew up in the war. If I love you, you will die. So then they keep themselves emotionally distanced from you so you won't die. So those are some wounds that you might want to look into. Or wishing to be buried in his creation. This was coming up too in the movie last night. It's 11:33 on the clock. Justice and the Christ vibration of standing up for oneself with truth and balance. In the fashion designers movie last night, it was a moment where somebody was coming in, seeing the designer and saying, "Oh, it's my dream to be buried in your design." And the symbolism of the dead body. It's like, so why you spending your whole life dreaming that you could be buried in this person's design, but why would you care? You're not even going to be alive to appreciate the dress, right, that you're being buried in. So putting all of this energy into the value of death, where death is actually just a transition. And so why not put more of your energy into the happiness of life and just go with the flow, allowing the transition instead of focusing on the death or change of it. Or wishing to be, again, coming clean with the Knight of Wands reversed in a losing battle. And the Knight of Wands reversed can be that player energy, perhaps coming in for a one-night stand. But it can also be someone who had good intentions to follow through with something and then fell short on energy or health issues. Or it's someone paralyzed by their own passions and they can't function, they're paralyzed. Or literally paralyzed in a losing battle. The mature man occupied with sewing in coffins and death. Cases closed, right? They don't allow themselves to live. And this was coming up, this designer had a really anal personality. He was very kind of autistic, where he would be very affected by sounds. And it gave him that feeling of hating the person when they made those sounds. But instead of hating the sound, you end up hating the person making the sound. And they would just be simple things of like cutting toast and things like that, which is a very much a trait of autism. You can't handle that sound or that energy. So case closed was also coming up here. Like there's no arguing with this. You can't change someone who's in this obsessive energy unless they heal themselves. You can't change the one who deems themselves as king, which was also coming up as mama's boy, because in this movie he was very much still attached to his mother even though she had passed. So how can you live when you're so attached to death? You're not allowing yourself the freedom to express yourself in the way you were meant to in this life. Are you holding yourself down? Are you waiting for your death? Are you doing things in your life based on how much time you have left? The sixth energy here is the camel, the hawk, and the elephant. The independent one who is blue, right? They can do everything for themselves, but there's a little bit of depression there. Cracking the whip, losing their patience, unnecessarily losing control, or perhaps snapping at people for no reason because they're depressed, or perhaps in front of a mysterious woman they can't figure out, right? The man in control who is able to control every little detail in their life except this one person. They don't get why they get to them, and they don't like that lack of control. The false person or the mask, it's the matched energy in the tango between the man and the woman. It's the revealing of the other, which is the revealing of the self, the peeling back of the layers. But you think you're trying to figure them out, but you're actually just trying to figure yourself out. The hawk, clearing an energetic exchange, and the abundant Knight of Cups, inspired or not by unexpected incoming. The elephant power man, right? That very, the elephant is often symbolized as that Republican energy of the old way of doing things, very starch and fixed. The power man from Mars, destabilized by romantic little girl, which can be a woman who's got a very young energy about her, as opposed to the old fixed ways, very opposite in that way. Because they need to heal and come together in that perspective, the Knight of Cups upright, perhaps in for a visit, again destabilizing him, trying to break down his fears and trying to get him out of what he fears so much, the control that he needs in his life. And then the older woman and the young girl was coming up, and the different perspectives playing between him, and the young girl saving the day, which was, I can't tell you the end of the movie, but it's very kind of twisted, so you might want to check that out. And it's 11:38 on the clock, which is the Queen of Cups. And that was the Phantom Thread. That was that movie. The Phantom Thread, too, had a really cool symbol in the title. It had the infinity and the pretzel in it as well. You can check that out if you'd like. All right, so now we go back to the, this is the union read. And I'll show you the picture. I'm sorry if sometimes I forget to show you the pictures because I get so wrapped up in the reads. But this is the union read. Let me get my little pointer here. And for those of you not familiar, I've been now doing 4D, 5D, 6D. At times I'm being guided to do 3D, 4D, 5D, but now I'm back at the 4D, 5D, 6D. Feminines on the left, masculines on the right, the bridge between in the center. The incoming divine feminine over here, the outgoing divine masculine here. The underlying energy is the Queen of Wands here, and then the closing energy here is the Knight of Cups here. I just pulled an extra card on either end. If you want to check them out, you can as well. Okay. So from this union read was done at 6:33 p.m., which is the Lovers and the 33 of the Christ vibration, which is also the way 33 is written, 33/6, for those of you curious in numerology. And again, we're dealing with the energies from the 16th to the 17th today, the Tower and then the Star, and going from the King of Wands to the Queen of Wands. The Tower and the Star, right? The Star is very fixed and the Tower is very explosive. Again, those polarity of energies coming up in order to bring them, collapse them to the middle. The Queen of Wands, the Two of Swords in the middle, which is being in your knowing, and then the Knight of Cups on the other end, right? Knight of Cups is offering love. The Queen of Wands is offering herself passion. It's very different energy. The Queen of Wands, the reason why she may pull in a lot of social energy and feed him is because she has a certain selfishness to her of knowing that she should serve herself first. And so others who don't do that for themselves are attracted to her energy, because how does she bring what she wants to her life? It's because she allows herself that selfishness, which we need to be in order to be our best for others. But we're told we're not supposed to be selfish, which again, see another perspective of the word selfish. Self-ish. We're here to be self-ish. And then in our power, share that with others. So the Queen of Wands is co-creating and knowing and floating on the jetties, while the Knight of Cups is in the green room swimming in place in a cup by the ocean, right? They're like preparing to go on while the Queen of Wands is on stage, you see? So the Knight of Cups is in the green room waiting to go on, swimming in place in a cup by the ocean, while she's out on the jetties performing, with the Knight of Pentacles here in a proposal with crystal light, and perhaps 2 nights, which then when this was done on the night, not last night, but the night before, of coming into today, which is the 17th, and I believe today's the full moon. I could be wrong, but I think it is today. The full moon in Cancer, which is a very significant full moon because the moon is represented by Cancer, with 2 offers perhaps here. At 6:41, which is the Lovers and the Ace of Cups, the incoming Divine Feminine with guidance, the 4 of Pentacles, which is the Divine Masculine's heart in this deck, the SIRIAN Starseed deck, and the 4 of Swords, which is the 5D connection between the twins. And the squirrel just popped up in the flower pot outside. He's busy nibbling on something. And then guidance was coming up as Guidan. And then the Dan, we just talked about the Dan people that we all originated from out of Atlantis. The Dan or Danan energies, which was we talked about the other day about Elena Danan, that's her name. And here was coming up the Guidan. And that can be very much like that mafia type of energy. The Gui also, though, means mistletoe. It means spar, ghost, or turtle. So here's the turtle, the slow turtle coming up. And then the Don, which is like that tiger energy, right, of the mafia, which I just told you about the Polish mafia. And the Turkish could be then coming up here as well. Istanbul was just coming up now. I just got that. And then mistletoe. Oh, Istanbul is also coming up regarding the bull because of Taurus and the North Node and that stubbornness. The mistletoe or the ghost of the Don or Dan, and the seal or the dance or the Spardan, the Spartan seal. Very interesting the way that came up. The Spartan's seal. The turtle. So the ghost Dan, the turtle Dan, or the mistletoe Dan, the seal or the dance, or the Spardan seal, the Spartan seal. Is there a Spartan seal? I don't know. You can look that up. Let me just Google that, see what comes up. Or rather Yahoo it, let's see. Let's see if anything comes up for Spartan seal. The Assassin's Creed. It's coming up as Spartan seals for Dermosthenes or Thenes, which you get by killing Polemarchs in AC Odyssey. And there's that AC of alternating currents. It's from Goss. Oh, that's so weird because Goss from Gossamer came out the other day too. GOSUNOOB.com. Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I don't know if it's a game or what, but that was coming up. But it also comes up as Spartan Seal coding. Just businesses were coming up. And Spartan Seal LLC. Seals and kits. So anyway, I could go more into that, but yeah. I'm sure there's something about the Spartans regarding the seal. So if you find a symbol or something, I'll look it up later too. Okay, so the word Dan, which happens to be my brother's name, which is funny, but it has a lot of meanings. And you notice that Dan is DNA. So it's very significant that Danan was one of the original peoples of Dan, and that Dan is the same letters as DNA, just like eat and tea. Very significant there. And right, we can't live without eating, and we can't live without drinking, and tea comes up. And tea being very significant because normally tea is water with herbs of nature. So Dan, it means water, it means path, and it means border, day, eager, lustful, impressed, moved by fear, to give, to grant, to provide, your scholar, noble, cleric, or in, within, or in front of, the rank in judo, karate, or kempo, the tooth, accept and wall, and the period of Dantean stage of Paleoguru, which is 65 to 23 million years ago. Okay, so talking about that period of Dan, or that pyramid. Pyramid is the ram's gate, the the balanced human embodiment of source at the ram's gate, at the opening of the astrological chart, the identification of the ram. And that's 4-4. The emotional path or daily border of giving to rank in front of the noble or scholar, eager and lustful and impressed by fear, a time long gone is what's coming up here, right? We're no longer in that patriarchal society. The commitment or guidance to the divine masculine's heart, both the light and the shadow, the front and the back, the animal's cave and the beached whale, the Queen of Wands at work guiding his every move for her own selfish reasons. Remember, that came up in the beginning of this read, that the Queen of Wands here anyway is talking about her selfishness. So remember, in that negative aspect of the Queen of Wands, she can do everything right for herself, but she can also be too selfish, which means then she's manipulating others to get what she wants, which is then not about service to others, but service to self. So there's a fine line there, right? To be selfish is to do what's best for oneself, to make you healthy and happy, and the people around you happy as well, which makes you happy in turn. And going within to connect with the collective consciousness in service. But if the Queen of Wands is turned on her ear, she can be very vengeful. She can be physically abusive, and then expect everybody to do what she wants them to do by putting them in fear. So there's two sides of that coin there. The 4D here is the Lovers, the Page of Wands, and the Indigo energy. The divine feminine rainbow lover, notice the bow that comes up here in the definition, but also the rainbow of the white. The divine feminine rainbow lover and the divine masculine with indigo and that diamond energy with a diamond proposal perhaps, bridging with the masked Page of Wands with a burning desire, expecting the woman to bow or bow down. The bow is the bridge, it's the arch, the mother arc, to their every desire or whim. And notice this desire is to desire. So no longer give them their son, basically, just because they say so, right? Because that's being together is a sacred union. It's about love. It's not about domination. It's about equal dancing between the masculine and feminine. The 5D here is the 2 of Pentacles, the 2 of Swords, and the 10 of Swords. The divine feminine surrender to all that is. The divine masculine ending pain, betrayal, or in a painful end or message, bridging with the 2 of Swords, knowing and keeping their energy clear. The 6D here is the Ace of Swords, the Luna or Moon, which is the full moon today, and Justice, the truth just below the surface, the porpoise or porpoise, waiting for the Queen of Wands to tell the truth, which is so much this play in that movie about the designer, because his muse never felt like he was more powerful than she never felt like he was above her, and so she always spoke to him exactly how she felt. She was never intimidated by him, where everyone else in his world is intimidated by him except his kind of right-hand woman, who's an older woman who's always been there for him to run the ship. So it's that play between this man of control, the king, so to speak, who always gets his way because he's so guided to this mission of his work. He's got this older play and then this younger girl who's not intimidated by him. But those two that he keeps close, the older mother energy and then the younger girl, are the only ones in his life who actually tell him the truth because they're not intimidated by him. And he's so enamored by the younger one because I can't tell you more. It's so interesting because then I'll give away the ending of the movie. So you might want to watch it. All right. And she doesn't always do the right thing, which is my point. But he loves her because of that, even when it doesn't benefit him. It's very interesting the way that came out. But anyway, In the 6D, the truth that's just below the surface here, and the porpoise, or the poor poise, waiting for the Queen of Wands, who may not always be poised, to tell the truth. The divine masculine justice in the portal, ringing the dinner bell with blinders on. And the energy of that younger woman was very much coming up as the lady on the outside, but kind of like that tiger within, right? She doesn't let anyone tell her who she is. Bridging in the full moon in the Cancer, the most powerful time was coming up here. The divine feminine lover surrendering up to the truth of who she is, perhaps, and then the divine masculine proposal to end the pain with truth and balance. And the bridge here being the Page of Wands, inspired and excited to clear at the full moon, perhaps at the ocean. But the ocean can also just represent that depth of emotion that needs to come up and out and be who you truly are, no matter what aspects may come up regarding that. So the divine feminine with Taurus and Gemini on their side, as well as the Queen of Wands on the feminine side, and the divine masculine with Gemini, perhaps Virgo, and Libra on his side with the Knight of Cups, right, waiting in the green room, with the Knight of Pentacles as well, perhaps there to help. And then we have between the masculine and feminine, the Cancer Page of Wands. And that could be just the Page of Wands and the Cancer full moon as well, inspired. And that could be a very sexual inspiration as well, right? It's a young energy of a teenage boy who's very enamored by a girl. And that can even be an old man who feels like a teenager because of this younger girl. It doesn't have to be a younger girl. It can be an older woman with young energy. It just depends on the situation. The outgoing divine masculine here is the Ace of Pentacles, the Ten of Cups, and the Six of Swords. The groundbreaking fulfillment in finding peace with dolphin swim, or swimming with Saint Dolphin. The Knight of Cups and the Knight of Pentacles here. The offer of love and that loyal, humble servant. The ghost scholar of the Four of Cups and the Four of Swords. The Four of Cups in this deck is about, wishing on a star, or being focused on that star, that very channeled selfish energy of the one, which is the masculine energy. And then the Four of Swords of the 5D connection with the feminine. And perhaps boredom and resting as well here. The ghost scholar, or the masculine who's so enveloped in his vision for himself that he never saw that other side of himself. He never allowed the feminine to come through in a way. And the diamond in the rough working their way out of the mountain or the obstacles to shine in the fall, allowing themselves to fall and seeing the glory in that, which so parallels in that movie. You have to watch that movie. Seeing this man who's always done things his way in a very selfish way, finding glory in the fall, the ultimate fall. Yeah, you have to see that. And then swimming to peace through that. Finding the freedom in the fall, right? So when you fall, you lose control. And thus therein is the peace that you find. And then working up from that. So in the purge or the fall, it may not feel good, but coming out of that purge or fall comes the epiphany or the new creation, the new inspiration. The overall number for this read is the Page of Cups, the 40 of the Page of Cups, that innocent, pure love. And the horizontal pillars came out to 1, 14, and 25, which is the Magician, the Temperance card, that angelic higher love, and the 25 of the Knight of Wands, who lights the fire under your butt. And then the vertical pillars of 0, 4, 4, so there's that 44 again. And then which is also that 4 of Cups, but it's also 2 Emperors, 4 and 4. And then the 3 and the 2, which is the Empress and the High Priestess, or the 32 of the Journey, the 10 of the Wheel of Fortune, the 1 of the Magician, another 10, and then the 6 of the Lovers and the Page of Cups. The message is coming up as the manifesting of a higher love with the Knight of Wands and the Page of Cups, right? The inspired movement and that pure innocent love, which also can reference Sagittarius and Pisces energy, or Mr. Ed of that God energy, and the rising sign of the Sun, the Pisces energy of the Christ being born in the Capricorn energy, but rising sign of Pisces. So it's coming up as the Father and the Son, the Saggy and the Pisces. Right, the mover and the shaker, or because the Knight of Wands is very fiery, creation energy, and the Page of Cups is that long-lasting, pure, innocent love energy of that Christ energy. So we have the grounding, integrating, and mastering, or perhaps the gym, and the journeying of the high vibration magic and high vibration love of the Page of Cups, that pure, undying love, and the space of the Emperor to come together with the High Priestess, and the destiny of the Magician, and the destiny of the Lovers, with a message of love here to bring. So now we have the read in front of you. This is the general read, not just the physical union, but all of the energies for the twins. So it's a lot of energy. If something doesn't resonate with you, don't force it to fit. And again, the SIRIAN Starseed deck, you see the numerology deck cards there as well. And then the whole 7-deck read on the table here, which is here. And if it doesn't resonate with you and you want something more personal, you can always check out my info below, as well as my website, twinflames3344.com. I have a CD out there also called Twin Towers to Twin Flames by Evelyn Stainthorpe. I still have to get another album done. I have enough songs for another whole album, but I either have to figure out how to do it myself or go back into the studio again. So it just hasn't been time this past year or two. So we'll see about that. But I'm really excited about some of the songs. They're really good. All right, so the SIRIAN Starseed deck was cut and dealt at 8/18, the dance between the masculine and feminine, the strength of inner and outer strength, and the manifestation of your dreams and dreams coming true. The 18 of the moon, which today is the full moon. The 8:30 chalices and S came up, which is all the heart and emotion of the Sophia energy, the salt of the earth, the dance of the union of 30. And I completed the read at 8:53, which is the way 53 would be written, 53/8. 53 is the catapult. It's the Knight of Swords, the messenger of truth, the knight in shining armor, and the dance between the man and the woman. We have abundance as the main energy in the read, which is the Empress. And then we have the High Priestess, the Hanging Man, and reflection, which is the Hermit before the read, and after the read, Indigo, or the Magician, came up. Remember, indigo is in digging into the human embodiment of Source. We have 1 pentacle, 4 cups, 2 wands, 3 swords. So there's mostly cups and swords here, 4 and 3, of heart and emotion. And a lot of times they come up together because as soon as you go into your heart, you get too much into your head as well, thinking about things. But swords can also be intellectualizing, and cups can also be just loving your friends and family energy. But there's a lot of that. Not so much practical energy here with the 1 pentacle and the 2 wands. There is some inspiration there, so it's somewhat balanced, but heavy on the cups and swords. We have the Page of Pentacles, and my gnat just showed up. Unforgettable. Unforgettable. That's what you are. And then he just flew away. All right, the Page of Pentacles and the Queen of Cups. The Knight of Wands, the King of Swords, all in the read. Page of Pentacles, Queen of Cups, Knight of Wands, King of Swords. We also have the 9 of Swords coming up here, which can be someone suffering in silence. And then before the read, the King of Cups came up. After the read, the Queen of Swords and the Page of Wands. As far as the numbers, we had double 2s, 3s, and 6s, which is the Fool's Journey, the Christ Vibration, and the 66 of the Queen of Pentacles. And we also have 1, 2, 3 jump, the 56 of the 2 of Swords, being in your knowing and keeping your energy clear, and the 89 of the Phi energy of expanding, contracting, or staying in the middle, reflecting instead. We have the 23 of the King of Wands, the 12 of the Hanging Man, the 36 of the Atlas, Weight of the World, the 35 of the 8 of Wands, the Energetic Exchange, the Arrows of Love, and the 68 of the Page of Pentacles, of perhaps new manifestation. The code line was all about surrender, and it was broken up into Seren and Dur, which will come up in the translation. And the code line was all about the number 8, coming from 3 and 5, which is the Empress and the Hierophant, which is very Taurus energy, and the 8 of Leo, but also 35 is the Wounded Warrior. So a lot of Taurus associated with the Wounded Warrior right here, as well as coming out as Leo, or in a mighty roar, or in the dance between the masculine and the feminine. And notice that the time of the read was 53, and in the code line it came out to 35, which is a reflection of the Wounded Warrior and the Knight of Swords, the Knight in Shining Armor, the Messenger of Truth, the catapult. which is reflecting the opposite pole of the wounded warrior, who's that victim mentality. Right? So the knight in shining armor, saves the day in a very, very unemotional way, though. Right? So the Knight of Wands would be more passionate, and the Knight of Cups would be very loving. The Knight of Swords is very direct, just to rescue lives in a way. They're not here to be all mushy about it. So the energy regarding the code line and surrender was coming up as Sophia being the key and mother, the Ma energy, the Empress of the Three, and the Queen of Cups of Wise Hearts, showing of power on the war path of surrender, right? Because the surrender is, you can't surrender until you've been to war. It's like the release of the wounded warrior into that knight in shining armor, or collapsing them both to the middle in that 0-point surrender. To regard or value the Three Queen of Cups, perhaps, or the Empress and the Queen of Cups, in clear of emotions, in a show of power post-war path of grieving the one at the end of the journey. Also, Saint Math comes up, which is actually a website, Saint Math, it's for elementary school children, I think. But Saint Math, or that can be Matthew as well, or Ma to the nth degree, they're both MA names. The Saint Matthew or Mother, which Mary can be coming up here as well, and the Shaman or Re, the wise one of emotions, in a show of power in post-war path of surrender here. So all those energies, the Saint Matthew, I was just getting Bartholomew as well, the Mother, the Mary, the lovingness of that energy of the Shaman, the Re, the wise one of emotions, very well grounded to the earth, in a show of power at the end of the journey in post-war path of surrender here. And seren, by the way, means to buzz. Like in Jesus Christ Superstar, what's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. It also means to mourn and grieve, as well as spanking. Is that what I wrote? I think it was. Like a beating or a spanking comes up under seren as well. So to buzz, and obviously your butt buzzes after you've been spanked. Think about a hand slap, how it makes your skin buzz. Also, an animal disease comes up under seren as well. And then dir is obviously dir, that's obvious, or it may indicate stupidity, but it also means the one, outdoors, and to you, right there at the end of the journey. The father, the skin. The grieving of the one, to hum at the end of the journey. The hum at the end of the journey, in the grieving of the one. At 936 is the Hermit and the 36 of the Atlas, Weight of the World, and it's also the 369 right here of the Atlas and the Weight of the World. The Page of Pentacles is the underlying energy here. So it's not blurred for you. Okay, so the underlying card is right here. I'll move that over just a little bit. With the mini cards on top, and below that Page of Pentacles is the Six of Cups, Three of Swords, and the Hanging Man, and Reflection, which is the Hermit, all upright, as well as the King of Cups, and then the Page of Pentacles on top. They're all upright. The Six of Cups, soulmates and separation, perhaps from the Hanging Man, hanging out reflecting with the King of Cups and the Page of Pentacles, perhaps Capricorn, Pisces, and Virgo. And the King of Cups is curious, or the King of Cups is with the Page of Pentacles, could be a good student, with the Hermit as guidance, or to awaken to self-satisfaction or getting their wish. In a breakup over the Hermit, destined to manifest, with Virgo and Gemini both upright here, which is that Mercurial energy, which I think was supposed to go retrograde, so I don't know if it is right now or not, it may be. And then Libra upright here as well. But Virgo and Gemini are upright, even though there may be Mercury retrograde energy here. At war with heartbreak, disappointment, or separation from third party, at work, or feeling like a failure, perhaps under the radar, or perhaps getting paid under the table, or a child who is paid under the table, Or the chair dance, and this is like at a wedding when they do the chair dance. Maybe somebody fell, or at a gallery opening, maybe didn't go as well as it was as expected, or it failed, or a wedding cake flopped, or the creation went unappreciated. The bad influence at work, or just gossips at church, an attention-seeking behavior, or drinking after work and fell off the wagon, or not invited. Successful at work, perhaps, but no friends. Soulmates apart, being wise and reflecting, Capricorn or Pisces, and Virgo, King of Cups, with an invitation, perhaps under the radar for bliss. The Emperor peeking out to see if the coast is clear. The Divine Feminine in the 5D sharing bliss with them. The Blockhead and Lucy. See, at the right angle, you see the point or a new perspective. And the Blockhead has to do with removing the blocks. Giving to others, but not to stubbornness and ego, which is the Bull of Taurus and the ego of the Leo energy. Half square, half circle or plane. Ring around the rosy to infinity and beyond. The diamond block and nature's circle of trust. You can beat the drum, but not us. He with homeless or sick and injured and asking, she with the bull and lion thinking they can push her around. Let go of control issues and beneath that very soon. So again, the polarity of what the masculine and feminine may be experiencing. The Page of Pentacles hurting themselves to be perfect or letting him get her drunk. The Sovereign obsessing, again, that came up in a movie too, about abuse of, being drugged at a party and then, rape or what they do, whatever you want, once you're out, they can do whatever they want with you. That came up as well. The Page of Pentacles hurting themselves to be perfect or letting him get her drunk. Sovereign obsessing over a spill or a split or splitting hairs or cutting cords in the sun or on vacation. And that movie too is all about no matter what everyone outside yourself says, trust your own knowing, because there can be a lot of deception out there, especially if people are doing things that are illegal, immoral, or whatever, okay? The Page of Pentacles and the Sovereign siblings, a mess, not waking up, and perhaps one never made it home. Barbie in the basket type of energy, like an Animal House, and the man no longer with two lovers, or one lost, or no affection from their children at 1033, and then completion with number 9 in the Hermit, and rebirth of the 16 of that sudden energy or epiphany. So the Fool is free to leap, to manifest big, but again, we're bringing up the energies of the Fool being scared about their freedom because not understanding it and uncomfortable about that energy. The Hermit coming out or found a way out, escaping or escape route to the Queen of Pentacles and praying that that ship hasn't sailed yet, perhaps something that they missed out on in the past. At 1039 is the Wheel of Fortune and the Knight of Cups, with the Queen of Pentacles praying that the dark birds go away, someone with the munchies here, perhaps grass and Chinese, and the Viking ship is gone and the stake pulled up, educated royally, peacock, and the wounded warrior on their knees, when fish go bad, or perhaps got sick on the boat. Present to the Page of Pentacles, curious to get drunk under the table, or the worst is over without affection or after a breakup, and completion, number 9. So when I told you I was getting a tummy ache in the beginning of the video, because it had to do with people getting poisoned, people getting drugged, like drug rape and that kind of stuff, and feeling sick to their stomach, or drinking themselves under the table, right, and then getting sick all the next day, which is poison. That stuff is coming up here. The underlying energy of standing up to dump the emotional attachments, or perhaps vomiting multiple times, and this can be illness as well, or dumping multiple loads. And if you're getting sick, maybe once too often, be aware somebody could be poisoning you. It was something that's very mild that can make you sick. Partners, soulmates coming clean or cleaning up to end the conflict or burdens, losing patience or their temper with fallen angel without peace or peace of mind, to start over and be wise with the Page of Pentacles, Virgo or student, or new manifestation with wise counsel, or hermit to shed light upon something. So all of those different energies, and again, Munchausen's could come up with that, you know, hurting yourself to get attention or hurting another to get attention, right? Keeping someone sick so that you'll always be their savior. All of those energies are coming up with all this stuff. And remember, you know, when you're that person who sees the best in others, you miss the fact that some may not have your best interest at heart. And this is what this is trying to stress to you. Trust your intuition. Don't let others tell you something that you know isn't true. Like if you know something's off and something's wrong, keep digging into it, even when the others around you are telling you it's nothing, because it may actually be the guilty party trying to steer you in another direction. So stressed, and it's not about getting paranoid. It's knowing your instincts and what you're feeling. It's not about going into fear or paranoia. That would defeat the whole purpose here. It's talking about trusting what you know and not letting other people tell you what you know isn't true. And it's 12:12 on the clock and 12:25:25 right at this moment. Quarter. The Magician, 1, and then quarter. 25:25, 2 Knight of Wands and the Magician. Stressed out, unable to sleep. This could be a sister, for sure, and then suffering in silence as well. Awaking to the Empress reverse, perhaps in lack or in need, with the Knight of Pentacles upright offering to help Scrooge and Sovereign, or the Knight of Pentacles and 9 of Pentacles, which can be siblings, or perhaps with a gang who's gathering around the Scrooge or hoarding, guarding their assets. And this could be again, it could be something at a party where somebody gets taken advantage of in that sense, but it also could be somebody doing an intervention as well. So both sides of the coin, where someone's ganging up to hurt someone or ganging up to save someone, and perhaps someone who needs to save themselves and not be saved by the group. With the Page of Wands reversed and the Page of Cups reversed, or perhaps even pets who are upset or maybe sick, and maybe, you know, the poison could be something accidental too, where, you know, the dog's got in the trash or something like that. Or pets upset with the King of Wands upright and the Queen of Wands reversed, not talking or verbally abusing each other. Or 2 sets of kids attacking the banker. Or the Empress reverse may not be well. And the banker can reference the Empress, you know, who may not be feeling well. But again, that could be someone nasty, or that could be someone who's, you know, who acts like they can't do anything, that they always need other people to do it for them. And then the Queen of Wands reverse, seeing synchronicity suddenly of the Divine Feminine in the 5D in bliss, and grieving the loss of the Magician Libra and the Fool free to leap. But the Knight of Wands is unable to catch up to them, being chased by multiple offers for sex and or projects. Or the Queen of Wands reverse is looking at her options suddenly to come full circle now that the worst is over, to grieve loss or rejection or loss of a child, or to regret as the Magician is empowered and destined to draw in the Fool who's free with an open heart and a loyal friend who can't keep up with them. Or the Queen of Wands reversed may be witnessing the Knight of Wands with multiple spontaneous orgasms, or all of a sudden acting like they're best friends at 11:04, which is Justice and the Emperor. And if anything, you know, negative in this reading has happened to you, you know, I'm very sorry about that. And please don't see me as cold as I don't offer you my regrets, you know, for anything negative you might be going through. But it's a lot of information. I kind of have to keep focused on the read to get the information across to you. Also, this group could perhaps be at a funeral procession as well at 11:04. In the recent past is the Knight of Wands upright, imprisoned by the Empress reversed, left behind or under the radar. Perhaps they're heartbroken, being strong but depressed, defenseless to the energies and without an excuse for the energetic exchange or the hours of love and the surrender. In the happy ending with the King of Pentacles reversed, an energetic exchange with the Page of Swords or a message, and the wounded warrior surrendering to overtime or not working out at 11:09, Justice and the Hermit, which also can be Libra and Virgo. The foundation here is the Abundance reversed, or the Empress reversed, or that's Taurus reversed as well, in a losing battle of a split, divide, or lie, and the need for the truth about the Page of Wands reversed, and the Ten of Pentacles reversed, family, business, or community of dysfunction or loss, and the Queen of Swords upright, speaking their truth about having no options or unable to implement a plan, and the central energy of the Eight of Cups upright, of walking away, leaving, going within, and leaving a lot of emotions behind. The wounded warrior surrendering to the Knight of Wands, rushing in to a swap, or a prison break, or an accidental hit and run, or didn't know what hit them. Broken, broke up, broke down, broke out, broke in, or broke through, or emotionally starting over, or emergently starting over, and looking back and being strong, challenged by the Queen of Cups, who may be upright here, focusing on their heart, but then also dealing with dysfunctional family, business, or community, perhaps of the ex, ball and chain, or the loss of money with the family, business, or community in a breakup with the Devil, or Capricorn, or in a family with lack of affection with the Devil's chains, or a Capricorn. And again, that can reference the ball and chain, or any kind of codependency between an ex. The King of Wands and the King of Cups, bound by work, or bound by the same lover. And the Page of Swords suddenly spreading the word about this, or advertising, or suddenly kicking everyone out of the house, or the business perhaps. With Gemini reversed, Capricorn and Scorpio upright, and Cancer reversed here, and Scorpio, or Cancer, or there could be two Cancers reversed in a connection, which can be the full moon energies as well, or just somebody with double Cancer in their chart. Or just two Cancers who are in a negative perspective here, in a deception or break in or break out, an energetic exchange or arrows of love, or a swap, or destined, or Cancer reversed, an energetic exchange or a passionate exchange with Libra that is destined, no longer on the fence or being told what to do, the King of Cups upright and the Knight of Cups upright, offering love to the Divine Feminine in 5D, or Pisces reversed, or around the neighborhood or the world, with the Queen of Cups, with Justice, or Pisces or Virgo and Libra, purging depression, or pushed to their emotional limit, or dumping on Aquarius reverse in a wake-up call, or a shout-out or announcement, or tears of joy that the war is finally over. And now here's the King of Swords suddenly exploding or kicking out bad influences out in the cold to get their message across, and don't come back to some at 11:33. And Miss Mary Mack is coming up with that, and don't come back at 11. And then I'm getting, is it Mr. Ed or the Beverly Hillbillies? Don't come back now, y'all. Come back. What is the expression? Some kind of Southern expression. Now come on back, y'all. You hear? Something like that is coming up too. I don't know why. The King of Swords is suddenly nostalgic, wanting to extend an invite. The Page of Swords and the Page of Pentacles locked out or kicked out, and the King of Swords defending his truth. Tempted by the King of Pentacles reversed, without peace, knowing and pretending not to know about a union, or a home and a divorce, or Taurus reversed, sister, or suffering in silence, and free to leap to the Emperor, who may be overworked, or just it's not working out, and the Emperor nostalgic about a flame. The King of Cups, Knight of Cups, and Queen of Cups may be Scorpio, Pisces, and Libra, or Divine Feminine, and the wounded warriors surrendering to walk away from their duties, to be free and see new perspectives, to inspect every inch and check out of the harsh truth, the rehab, the prison, the hospital or MASH unit, or abusive sex practices, or again, the torture that you live in. Free from withholding or saving or playing hardball, with or for the Queen of Pentacles reversed, and the Queen of Cups upright with Justice of purging depression and a wake-up call. Soon for the twins is the Nine of Swords upright, the stressed, the hiding out, the seeing synchronicities and holding on, and grounded and being moderate, with no peace. Receiving an offer of passion from the Knight of Cups, offering love to the sovereign, or perhaps their own sovereignty, and hanging out with family and fallen angel, but defenseless to the energies of the group ganging up on them, and leaving behind the Six of Cups soulmate or children or pets who are very loving to each other at 11:44, Justice and the Four of Cups, of grounding, integrating, and mastering of love, And the Knight of Cups offering passion to the Ten of Pentacles reversed, family, business, or community who may be stressed out because of dysfunction or loss, and or the one hoarding and or hiding while offering their love to the sovereign in soulmate connection within, and it's 12:21 on the clock. That can't, this soulmate connection within that cannot be denied. The twin flames seeing themselves as the Three of Cups reversed, rejected or vulnerable, shy and sad or ashamed, and the Knight of Swords reversed lashing out in a confession to or with the Queen of Cups upright and the Queen of Wands reversed over them, or listening in, and that could be a vengeful person, so be careful about that, and implementing a plan to prevent the cycle from ending, right? So if the Queen of Wands reversed, could be one of those people doing something evil to get her way when she can't do it by manipulation. Queen of Cups is upright, Queen of Wands is reversed, and she may be listening in, implementing a plan of vengeance or to prevent the cycle from ending. Or she may just be dead tired or over the grieving, rejection, or child. And the Queen of Wands reversed may be scorned or vengeful, perhaps didn't waste all their time, money, and energy just to lose or be rejected, or clinging to their grief. Scorpio reversed, or no coming together for mother and child. Or the Knight of Swords reversed, dumping a load with the Queen of Cups upright and the Queen of Wands reversed. Perhaps the Queen of Cups was rejected and the Queen of Wands reversed is plotting to get them back at 11:53, which is justice, truth, and balance, and the Knight of Swords, messenger of truth, or perhaps the Knight in shining armor. It is safe to love, stay optimistic about your love life, but also love yourself first and free yourself and your soulmate, calling in your soulmate. But as well, we have new love and passion here, and around the twins, or how they're seen, is the Six of Wands reversed. The Knight of Swords under the radar, perhaps overwhelmed or purging to come clean, to clean up, perhaps for the High Priestess and Justice, or Pisces or Virgo and Libra, or religious council sitting in judgment here. The block here for the twins is the Five of Swords, of the frogs stretching in the war within, the struggling to become the prince, hanging out with the family as or with the fallen angel, losing patience or their temper with Pisces or Capricorn, but Sagittarius reversed, or irritated family around the Knight of Cups and the sovereign energy because they're so icky sweet, right? Because they love each other. The Knight of Cups upright and the sovereign who's very independent and a catch. So the irritated family could be irritated because they're used to having complete control instead of love, and they don't get it, and they're not comfortable with love. So the Knight of Cups and sovereign are in really beautiful energy. There may be a three-way situation, separation, heartbreak, or no romantic tie, pushed to the emotional limit in a split or divide or a lie, and justice with Aquarius, depression and a wake-up call, an announcement and or a final judgment here. And then the Queen of Pentacles reversed and the Knight of Pentacles upright may be apart here or splitting up, and they could be any two earth signs or siblings or a couple. And the Queen of Swords upright, inspired by Indigo Magician proposal, surrendering to all that is. The Two of Cups soulmates, making them happy or exposing all in the sunshine or vacation. Or the Queen of Swords and the Page of Wands on vacation, perhaps Virgo or Libra and Gemini or Virgo at 12:20. Or the Knight of Pentacles upright and the Page of Wands, kids perhaps playing in the sun at 12:21 again. And this was, at the time I wrote this, was 12:21 when I just brought it up on the clock currently 3 minutes ago. It's 12:24 right now, the Omega of the Queen of Wands. And it was 38:08 on this clock, 1:38:08, which is the Queen of Cups and the dance of the masculine and the feminine and the dreams. So the Six of Cups of the children loving each other in separation, and the Hanging Man and the Hermit, the King of Cups and the Page of Pentacles, perhaps with the Empress reversed in lack, and that can be all different kinds of lack, whether she's just sick or ill and needs caring for, or she doesn't and she's expecting people to care for her anyway or do what she says. So she could be really mean and bossy, or the opposite of being really wimpy and saying I'm too weak or I don't know how to do things and expecting everyone else to take care of her. So the Empress reversed in lack with no reunion or overindulgent, and just because the Empress comes up reversed, that could be someone who miscarried as well, and I'm sorry if that's the case. With no reunion or overindulgence, feeling a failure or attention-seeking or under the radar, and the Knight of Wands rushing in only to go back in and challenged by the Queen of Cups, sister, or suffering in silence, or hiding and stressed, or growing up with the King of Swords overwhelmed, or dumping the Queen of Swords who may be excited to surrender with kids and pets, or Leo, and without him. The Page of Pentacles and the Knight of Wands present to the ship that sailed, the Empress reverse walking away from the King of Swords, challenged by the Queen of Cups upright, with no reunion or bad influences, and hiding stressed feelings or feeling of failure under the radar, and struggling with the war within, being pushed to their emotional limit, sweating it out, and perhaps purging as well. At 1229, the Hanging Man and being present in the moment, or gifts, to the Queen of Swords upright and the Page of Wands upright, indigo child, surrendering to their soulmate. And then there's that energy of purging. When you're purging and feeling like God has abandoned you. Like, what's the point if we're like in what's called the human experiment and God's just playing a game with all the parts of themselves? You know, kind of what's that point? You can go into that polarized energy when you're purging. And again, that's that ultimate separation from source, right? So hurting yourself in essence, which comes up specifically with the twins, because you and your twin are affected by everything that you do. The 114 of the Magician and the 14 of the Temperance energy. So let's pull just a couple cards, because that was a lot of information and we're already at 140. I'm just going to do an energy deck card and then the Journey of Love. Let's see what comes up from the energy deck for you guys. What's the takeaway from this read today? Take a deep breath. And I'll try to get a few astrological signs done today as well. All right, from the energy deck, the takeaway for this read today. Slid right out, the door to spirit. So open that door to purify and elevate that vibration. 32 is the journey of clearing your energy, opening the door to spirit, to the other side. And the 5 of removing the mask, of being completely authentic, letting go of attachments, but also of resistance, of being free, allowing yourself to be free without being uncomfortable in that freedom, exploring what it means to be clear and free of attachments, free of resistance. And then the first chakra is Archangel Michael. It's all about clearing the root chakra, the wounded warrior, the victim mentality. Okay? And then making sure you understand what's important to you. The 31 is the conflict within. Like, you can't have what you value unless you know what you value. What's most important to you. So there's a lot of red energy coming up there. And then the bottom of the deck is all about balance. There is victory in this afterward. The next card is victory of the twins, 28. And the bottom of the deck is the yin yang, the 22 of the journey. So it's beautiful energy, actually. It's very balanced here, with the underlying energy being here, coming out of the Magician in the mirror, again, doing the shadow work of the Knight of Swords, the Messenger of Truth, but also the catapult, and also the Knight in Shining Armor. Knowing how to use your tools, allowing yourself freedom, and not to be uncomfortable in freedom. In balance. Clearing your energy, clearing attachments and resistance, freeing yourself. The 32 is a 5. The journey to freedom. Look at this. 32 to the 35, and then there's the 35 here. And we talked about the Knight of Swords too, which is the 53. Journey to freedom from the wounded warrior. The root chakra, where all of our wounds are, is down. Most of our wounds are in the first 3 chakras. And knowing what you value, what makes you feel strong in your foundation. The 31 again is a 4 here, but it's also the 5 of Wands. And the victory in this of choosing you first, of peace and victory. Okay, so let's see what the Journey of Love has for you. It always has to do with balance between attachment and resistance. And staying in the middle, collapsing the polarities to the middle. Every time you go into polarization, see the opposite of that to help pull you out of it into the middle. It's like the law of averages, right? Averaging it all out. The push and pull of quantum energy, the QE2. That you are the leap between worlds because you're already connected to each other. You're always between worlds in each other's energy. Space between, soft, the pearl. Soft like the pearl, the 47 of the synchronicities, the choices, the heaven in your eyes. Be soft like the pearl that gets created from all of the difficult circumstances that you've been with. The pearls of wisdom that you've learned along the way. It just softens you. You know, just like the grandparent always becomes softer over a lifetime because they become wiser. They understand there's not so much to fear because they've overcome all of those things that they were afraid of. We have the 2 of the High Priestess of within nothing, there is everything. Again, the polarities and the womb of the earth. And you see how the pearl fits into the womb here. And it's like this is reflecting the womb, right? When it gets too big over here, it gets a little smaller on the other side in the 8. See the 8? There's that constant balance playing out between the masculine and the feminine and the 3D and the 5D. Right, that there's that 2-way toroidal field dance, but there's a 3rd way as well, because it's within and without. The flower of life. And you see how these swirls also run right into each other, sideways as well. And it can be open-ended too, right? The 8 can be open-ended over here. The 8. The pearls of wisdom. Within nothing there is everything. The 2 of the High Priestess and seeing synchronicities. I'm getting the graveyard too, because this looks like a cross, you know, on top of the grass. And we've talked a lot about death wounds here, about being afraid of death, being afraid that if you go to sleep, other people will die. Or just being afraid of other people dying in general, like how will you live if they die? All of these wounds are coming up to be cleared. It's the womb of Gaia here, right? Because the planet stores all of this death from our buried, all those pearls of wisdom from over the years, the collective energy of the bacteria that gets into the oyster, the clam. But then in overcoming that bacteria becomes the rejection of the pearl. Whatever we've rejected in our lives, you ultimately have to surrender to. And in realizing that becomes that pearl of wisdom. That there's always, that death is just transformation into the new. And that she is the moon on this full moon here, the Cancer. She is the moon. She is home. The 21 is completion. The synchronicities, heaven in their eyes, the pearl in their eyes. She is the pearl, she is the mother, she's the womb. She is the High Priestess. She is the moon. She. There is completion here. The completion point at 0 point. You see that you're seeing 3 different perspectives of the same thing. The pearl being the womb, but also being the 0 point here, within the darkness of what you've learned in your life. And the bottom of the deck is the breaking of the King of Pentacles, the clash. The breaking is the making of them. Breaking into the oyster, the clam. So the breaking in is the making of them. It's like the breaking in of the horse. You just keep coming in. They may slam against you time and time again, but if you keep coming in and being still with love and an apple waiting for them, they can keep slamming into you, but then one day they break and they no longer want to resist anymore. The light field of the 63 of the suffering and silence, being in the middle of the 4D bridge with no protection, right? Like in a shitstorm here. The light field, and feeling all the energy of all the light shooting at you. And use that light to clear your water, put it in the windowsill, the 63 of that suffering and silence, and then crashing into you, crashing over and over and over again, till you no longer want to stand in the middle of the bridge. And then perhaps you surrender. This was sitting in my lap too. I don't know which end of the deck it was on, but it wants to be seen, the question mark. The seed of the heart, the 0 point field, the 25 of the Knight of Wands, that inspiration, that fire lit under your butt to get moving and be inspired. What's next? The inspiration. The purity, the gold of your confidence, and that Christ consciousness that seeps into your green heart and then into your throat and your third eye chakra in order to, explode outside of your crown. It's like showing us the process of inspiration. Sorry, my hair. Okay, the question mark, the inspiration that comes when there's an unknown factor. And remember that 4D also comes up as what's unknown on the other side. So we're in the fourth density now, the unknown factor. So there's a lot of huge inspiration that's there for us, because there's always going to be an unknown in the 4D, because as a 3D human, you can only see the 2D, 3D versions. But the 4D, you can't see what's on the other side unless you actually look and go all the way around it, 360 degrees to see what's on the other side. You have to see all perspectives, not just yours and the other, but perhaps all the perspectives. And let's see what that says. So the first card out was the Pearl, the 47 of Soft. The sanctuary bathed in soft light. Your heart is receptive, inviting, and gentle. It brings strength to the weary, comfort to the lonely, and healing to the wounded. It is a magnet for all that is needed, for you, your beloveds, your world. Don't imagine you must always be the fighter going against the part of your nature that longs for harmony and peace. This is your time to be soft, to surrender, to let the subtle waves of the heart invite love in, and to receive. And in doing so, you will give so much. This oracle brings you a message of peace. Surrender now. Be soft. Even just for this moment of quiet reflection. You have perhaps been working too hard at growing and living. Take some moments to replenish and allow the divine to help you, dear one. Be soft so you are receptive to the divine. It is when we let go that we truly perceive the obstacles that lie between us and oneness with the divine lover. Let go and perceive that the divine lover is already awakening within your heart. And the poem reads, you are the softness he desires. You help light his way. You nurture all that he holds dear, though tempest clouds dismay. And in the quiet of the storm, his gentleness comes through, and in the shelter of his arms, his heart is there for you. So breathe, guys. Remember your water, perhaps a little light, and your rest, for your beauty rest, to make you feel good, your joy in your nature. Get your feet out there, perhaps sit in the grass if you can, and rise and be love. I'll see you soon, and then have an amazing day, you guys. Bye-bye.